Get strong.
Yes, hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back for another show from where I sit. I'm your host, Dr. C, and we are in our second week of the Black History Month, February here of 2026, and we are really excited about what we're going to be talking to you about not only this weekend, but every weekend moving forward for the month of February and March. Remember, I did tell you guys that here at the From Where I Sit show with Dr. C, we're going to be talking about Black History Month for 2 months because I think it's that important. And it's that important for the simple fact that the Trump regime, the criminal Trump regime, is trying to erase Black history or actually trying to erase the history of people of color in general. And so it is absolutely necessary for us to educate you about the accomplishments of African Americans in this country from its inception or when the white man first came to these shores and brought black Africans with them. There is something to be said about the black diaspora, and that is exactly what we're going to be talking about for this weekend and every weekend moving forward, all the way up through March. So, without any further ado, let us get to our next Black History event or person. And this one is surprising to me. And yes, it is Black History Month or 2026. And I decided for this week to start with my home state and my home city. I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I wanted to explore the history, the Black history of Western Pennsylvania. And I found Dr. George D. Turfley to be quite interesting. And it's interesting for me specifically because this man practiced medicine where I was born in 1958. Okay, and so I am really excited to present to you a very short story about Dr. George G. Turfley, who happened to be the very first African American doctor to practice medicine in Allegheny County. As you can see right here, this is the picture of him with some of his patients. This is Dr. George G. Turfley, okay? And he practiced medicine in Allegheny County, which is western Pennsylvania. But let us get into the particulars of Dr. George Glasgow Turfley's story. All right, he was born in 1855, passed away in 1934. He was a pioneering African American physician and a prominent figure in Pittsburgh Hill District community. Now, why am I bringing this up and why I find this man's story so fascinating is because I also was born on the Hill District, okay, the Hill District community. And I mean, later on, when I was still a baby, we moved to Wilkinsburg, PA, which was, not too far from the Hill District, but this is where I was born. And of course, this is where George G. Turfley practiced medicine. He was born on October 9th, 1855, in Pittsburgh to John and Matilda Brooks Turfley. He was one of the first black students to graduate from Pittsburgh public schools, earning his diploma from Central High School. Yeah, I mean Central High School. As a matter of fact, I think Central High School wasn't too far from Westinghouse High School, which was also in the city of Pittsburgh, Homewood, Pittsburgh. In fact, I do believe. More to his story, Turfley studied medicine under Dr. C.D. King in Allegheny County before enrolling at the Western Reserve Medical College in Cleveland, Ohio, from which he graduated in 1879. You know what's interesting about Dr. Turfley's story is that he is becoming a medical doctor during the time when Jim Crow was beginning to get into full swing, and where they did not. This is we're talking about the white powers to be at the time were going out of their way to prevent black people, black Africans in this country during this time from gaining notoriety for their intellect anywhere. And Dr. Turfley was able to go to Western Reserve Medical College in Cleveland, Ohio, from which he graduated in 1879, and it was among the first black graduates of that institution. Upon returning to Pittsburgh, he opened a medical practice and became the first registered African American doctor in Allegheny County. Let me say that one more time. Became the first registered African American doctor in Allegheny County. A milestone achieved in a time when racial barriers in medicine were significant, and they were significant indeed. Dr. Turfley practiced for, I'm laughing because this is incredible, right? Dr. Turfley practiced medicine for over 55 years, becoming one of the most respected physicians in the region. He was active in several civic and professional organizations, including the Allegheny County Medical Society, the Center Avenue YMCA, which is cool, right? Eureka Lodge of Odd Fellows, and Grace Memorial Presbyterian Church, where he served as clerk of sessions and elder, right? He married Mary Elizabeth Bryan in 1894, and together they had six children, including Zerbia Ella Turfley, who later married James A. Dorsey, Pittsburgh's first African American physical education instructor, which is also incredible. His family's prominence in Pittsburgh is well documented in the Dorsey Turfley family photographs collection at the Senator John Hines History Center. By the way, this is where I got a lot of this information from the Hines History Center. There's a lot of great historical evidence there if you're interested in history like I am, which also includes images of his home, family, and community life. Dr. Turfley's legacy endures as a symbol of perseverance, professional excellence, and community leadership in Pittsburgh's African American history. He passed away on November 17th, 1934. And yes, this is where it also gets interesting for me because he is buried in the Homewood Cemetery, which is where a lot of my family members are also buried. My mother, my father, my brother James or Jimmy James Bryan Scott, and my brother Horace Ricardo Scott are also buried in the Homewood Cemetery, just like Dr. Turfley. Fascinating story. Somebody that you probably have not heard about, and an interesting story indeed. But there's more. Do not forget, Dr. Turfley was born and practiced medicine in the Hill District. This is where I was born. And the Hill District happened to be the heart and soul of the city of Pittsburgh. All of the jazz musicians came through the Hill District. This is where they came and played. All of the poets and all of the playwrights went to the Hill District to mingle with the people. and then got inspired to come up with their artistic works. And yes, yours truly, Dr. C, was born on the Hill District. And the other interesting thing about the Hill District, which is really important, and the reason why I wanted to include this picture in this little write up here, is that the Hill District was not just home to a very large African American community. In the early 1900s, the Pittsburgh's Hill District was inhabited by a diverse mix of residents, including large numbers of Irish, Eastern European Jews, and African Americans. When jobs, this is really cool, right? When jobs in the steel mills attracted thousands of Southern blacks to Pittsburgh in the 1910s and 1920s, by the way, this is the Great Migration period, the Hill, or the Hill District, became Pittsburgh's most celebrated African American neighborhood. And that was where I was born. Really cool stuff. And this is where Dr. George G Turfley practiced medicine. And you would probably think that during this time, because he died in 1934, he practiced medicine for 70 years, right? His patients were probably more than just black folks. He probably had patients from these communities as well, Irish, Eastern European Jews, etc., etc. So he probably had a really good following of patients, and he became a quite famous individual in the city of Pittsburgh along with his family. So I think it is a really cool story, and I wanted to tell you this story for Black History Month to all of you from yours truly, Dr. C. And of course, here's another interesting picture of the Hill District. Also, I want you to take a look in the background. And I got a really cool story to tell about this. As you can see, there's a lot of smoke in the background. This is during the time when the steel mills were in its heyday in the city of Pittsburgh. Um, Andrew Carnegie is the one who pioneered the production of steel, and in the city of Pittsburgh and in Western Pennsylvania is where these jobs were located, and this is where a lot of people came to Western Pennsylvania to seek these jobs in the steel mills, right? And of course, these steel mills also gave rise to a lot of other businesses, a lot of other job centers for people to come and get these jobs and earn a really good, decent wage. The other important thing that is striking to this story, and the reason why I'm focusing on the Hill District, is because this is also where unions were at its strongest. Mind you, a lot of union workers in Western Pennsylvania had to fight for those rights. Andrew Carnegie and his management team were not willing to give these workers that Dr. George G. Turfley uh, practiced medicine with, right? Um, they weren't willing to give these people union rights. By the way, under the Trump administration today, they are trying to get rid of union rights for everyone right now, just to let you know. And the Hill District became a hotbed of union activity. Okay? And Dr. George G. Turfley was in the middle of all of it. Fascinating, great stuff. Also, a very interesting tidbit, and I wanted to make sure I presented this picture because working out of his home in the Hill District, this is where Dr. Turfley practiced medicine. He had his own private practice, and it was from his home in the Hill District. He became a well known and much loved figure in the city. His granddaughter recalled riding with him to visit patients in his horse and buggy. Imagine that. going to see your patients using a horse and buggy. He died in 1934, but he practiced his medicine in the late 19th century and into the early 20th century, and so cars weren't all that readily available until later in the late early period of the 20th century. So yeah, it makes sense that he was riding around in a horse and buggy delivering babies up and down Fifth Avenue, which, by the way, when I was a young teenager in Pittsburgh, I used to hang out around Fifth Avenue headed downtown. So, yeah, he continued to practice medicine into his 70s shortly before his death in 1934. This is a very short blurb, a very short introduction to Dr. George G. Turfley, the first African American to be able to get a license to practice medicine in Allegheny County ever. This is Dr. George G. Turfley's story, and I want to thank you for joining me for another segment on Black History Month here in 2026. This is Dr. C saying thanks for joining me with this story. You will hear from me every week for the rest of this month and well into and towards the end of March of this year. Go out and celebrate Black History Month with your family. Learn something new that you didn't know before, because the stories that African Americans have to tell about their contributions to this country are vast. All you got to do is go out and find them. And when you find those stories, tell them to the members of your family and your community, and help celebrate Black History Month with yours truly, Dr. C. And this is From Where I Sit. You guys have a great afternoon. Be strong. Be strong.